Okay, so set the stage real quick. So this is American Ninja 2, subtitled The Confrontation. It's not specific to any one confrontation, because there's many in the movie.
Because it's a film of confrontations. I know I'm looking forward to like seeing how, like, he is like a legit, like, they almost, even though this is where all these kinds of movies, I'm sure, like, you know, started really going mainstream. I mean, back in the day, I'm sure there was plenty of other like lone wolf style movies, but dude, they really took that idea of like, he's a lone wolf to like the nth degree, you know, like this guy literally, like for a main character, he really didn't give a shit about anybody.
He really didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, you know, and like I still can't get over getting all those guys killed at the very beginning. Like, you know, I mean, a really good example of like how shit can go wrong.
Can we analyze that though? Was how at fault was he? He was trying to save the girl, right?
Look, I mean, we know after the fact that those convoys have been hit a number of times with no fatalities, because they mentioned this is the first time like people have been killed,
right?
And like, you know, I mean, as they do, bad guys do. Hey, no one do anything, you won't get killed. At that point, the ninjas were not even involved. The ninjas were just sort of chilling back,
watching,
letting the goons, the hired goons, do all the work, you know? So hired goons pull them all out. They're going to steal the fucking trucks. He just starts taking them on. That's what prompted the ninjas to get involved, which then led to the ninjas ultimately fucking slaughtering everybody. You know?
The backup plan.
Yeah, and I suppose the daughter was not no less culpable, because she's the one that sort of got the guy to start shooting because she was trying to escape.
She was just not very endearing through the entire ordeal. Like, she was reacting like way out of touch with reality. So that's, and we talked about that. She was fully off the bat presented as a fully formed character who was just a spoiled brat, maybe.
Yeah, and then the way, okay, so Dudikoff is a very, very good-looking man. Like, there's no doubt that movie is basically peak Dudikoff, you know. Yeah. But I don't know if he's so good-looking that the simple sight of him without a top on in the jungles of the Philippines is necessarily enough to completely and utterly change the personality of another human being.
Potentially.
From like two complete extremes, going from like the ultimate rich brat, like she's literally in the car, like yelling at the driver, "Come on, we've got to get out of here." You know what I mean? Meanwhile, all the other fucking army dudes are like, you know, getting like held up and everything else.
They're complying, you know? to save their lives, and she's like, "Come on,
like,
just drive.
We got to get out of here." Yells at the guy. The guy gets his head put through a fucking window. She's like, "Fuck this, I'm out of here." Like, she just leaves them. You know what I mean?
And then fucking capsizes the car.
So that's what prompts like Dudikoff to like get involved. Okay,
because she was getting hit.
Yeah,
and then she was getting threatened. Yeah,
and as she tries to get away, he starts shooting. So he goes in and tries to stop that from happening, something along those lines. And then she's literally running away from ninjas. All these guys are dead. Like, she's seen them all. Like, they're all dead now. Okay, shit has gone from already a scary situation to like the extreme. It's deadly now. Lives are getting lost. She's complaining about her shoes.
Yeah.
She's complaining about a torn skirt. She'd prefer to get captured than jump in the water with the leeches. And then suddenly, Dudikoff takes his top off.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm a nice person now. Like, I'm completely and utterly not who I was. Like, so they went to the effort of, you know, portraying her a certain way. But then to, like, when the movie really kicked off, none of that was put to use. You know? Like, none of it, which made little sense to me. But Dudikoff does that, and then later on gets people killed a number of other times. Just leaves that guy. Well, I mean, you know, I suppose that there's a part of me that changes. There's a part of me that changes when I see those images. You know,
that is so.
He was a pinup, looks like teen idol, and then can we just spare a moment just to talk about
Mr. Chins
Jackson?
Chins Jackson.
Curtis fucking Jackson, my favorite character in the entire franchise. I think he actually shows up in almost in all 5.
Yeah, I think even in the third one, he's in the third one because it's like Jackson's back and he's got a new partner. You know.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's a guy that sees his friends get killed. He's angry, rightly so. Angry at the guy who got his friends killed. But then also completely changes his tune when he gets beat up by this guy.
But this is his character. Like, it carries over to number 2, where he's like, yeah, he looks tough and built like a brick shit house, but he's actually really fucking caring. Like, he's trying to actually win the guy over and win he does, like, if you actually read into what he does with the fight, he's actually doing that as a way to bring him into the fold and then get the rest of the troops accepting him into the ranks again.
Yeah.
I mean,
look, there's a degree of inception there.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know if he must be really good at chess because he's thinking so many moves ahead.
So it's just still from number 2. So what if you
it's an interesting way to wear your fucking.
If you consider number 1 to be all those references we picked up on, like Rambo-ish, pretty much, then number 2 is like more like Police Academy meets a plot from a Bond film. Like, it's in terms of the grand plot.
Oh, okay.
The rest of them is them on an island doing 80s things.
Yeah, so it goes all the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm really curious to see, like, if they try to, because I enjoyed the movie because I know what it is, but if we're pulling it apart a little bit, like, he's not necessarily a very sympathetic hero, you know, like so I'm curious to see now if, he's got, like, they're building a franchise on him. Like, is he going to be a little bit more sort of, less collateral damage?
He's very Logan-ish, but like if Logan absolutely had no moral center, like that version of Logan.
Yeah. Because deep down, Logan's still,
he's still got that.
Yeah.
But this guy's so blue steel. His like soul is blue steel.
And like, okay, oh my God. So I understand that. Hey, they found him. He's got amnesia. He got wrong side of the tracks, whatever else. But to then find out that this all happened when he was 6 years old. Like he had this, like, he makes it out like he's got this mysterious past.
Yeah.
But that mysterious past was like 0 to 6. Like,
did he, like, wasn't he 6 when he said, when I found you, he was 6?
So somehow all these ninja skills that he has as a grown man, he gained
from 0 to 6
prior to being 6 years old.
But how long was he on the island then? They wouldn't establish how long, because he got found when the explosion happened. Some people found him on the island.
Look, who knows? But after the explosion, he was 6. I think it said he was 6 when he got blown up and found.
Yeah. So
he had an entire lifetime. Like, how old is he in the movie? Like 20-something, 30-something, probably 20-something. And so, like, there's at least, like, 10, say at least 15 years. If he's 21 years old, that's at least 15 years since learning ninja techniques and whatnot.
And it resulted in him having, like, a checkered past where he was in and out of juvie, probably, in jail.
Which makes sense, I mean, he grew up with no parents. They didn't know where to put him. He put him in foster homes.
But he had skills. But he had, like,
but somehow
skills.
He retained these pre-6-year-old ninja skills.
Curiously, this does not get fully explored at all in the sequel. That's
it. It's done. It's established.
No expansion on the backstory except for a flashback of the sensei.
It's like we've told you the story. Like,
He's a 6-year-old ninja. He's a 6-year-old ninja. Get with it. Like,
let's move on from it.
No more needed. Yeah.
It's just another fucking day
explosion.
At the office.
No remember.
Yeah. Ain't no thing.
Yeah, we're good for 10 seconds. Should be.
Yeah, I'm
Tommy, countdown.
Yeah, and then on one. On the one. Jam it on the one.
Jamming on the one. Jamming.
All right. 5, 4, 3, 2. But yeah, the number 2, totally my faves. I'll give that fucking 4.5. I just always unreasonably in love with that movie.
Do you give it 4.5 because it was so fun, or do you give it 4.5 overall?
Like, how much of that 4.5 is just pure nostalgia for you, though?
It's the I don't go for nostalgia bait.
Me and Al literally just try to question his rating. It's like, really,
No.
dude, 4.5?
No.
It's a good question.
I'm looking for clarity, of context.
Confirmation of why.
It's the same, I put it in the same category as the Turtles movie, right? Because you can definitely accuse people like us of nostalgia for that, but it is a solid, fucking awesome written, directed, looking movie. And this one is the same. Like, even with the slash budget, I love like the actual flow of the movie. It's acted pretty well. Like, it's staged well. It's the story's fucking wild and it's engaging.
Yeah, it was just a different animal. It was just a different animal.
As a film, it works for me, like practically and aesthetically, as well as the nostalgia parts and just the comedy parts.
I think I do really believe it's a fun movie. It's like you definitely don't take it seriously, like, obviously, but it was a very fun, enjoyable movie. Like, I mean, there's a lot of it that doesn't make sense, so storyline doesn't really cut it, but it's like, hey guys, look what I've created. Oh, okay. What have you created? You just go after them. You literally, and that's what makes it enjoyable. The fight scenes, yes, I believe they're actually a lot of fun to watch. Obviously, looking back at that era, they didn't have to do a storytelling kind of segment in the movie anymore, because I've obviously explained that in part 1. So there's a bit more action in this movie than part 1. I'm doing a comparison now. But when it comes to the storyline, just as Al said from the start, like, it just seems like they're trying to cram as many, like, they've watched so many movies. It's like, I think we should just do a bit of everything and put it in this movie. Just like Terminator, Universal Soldier, Police Academy. Just put it all in there.
Rating?
The same.
Oh shit!
Look, I'm going to give it
3.
Give the last one a 3, I think.
Yeah, 3.
Yeah, no, I'll give this one a 2, and I think.
Oh,
and I think
less
it's
than the first one.
Yeah, less than the first
one. The next podcast is just me and Vahe.
I think I don't want to say the movie doesn't work, but it kind of tries hard to not work. Like, I feel like they threw so much random shit at this thing. Like, I think the choreography I think they tried to go bigger in this one, but I think they ended up going, like, I think they ended up being less impressive than the first one.
It just became a river dance.
And I think some of the comedic bits, and I love a good action comedy. Like, I'm a huge Jackie Chan fan, but I think in this case, the comedy took away, like, didn't add to the action sequences, but rather took away from the action sequences. Like, you watch a good Jackie Chan movie, and like, everything is adding value. Whether they're doing funny stuff, whether they're doing serious stuff, everything's adding value. A lot of times in those movies, the serious stuff will be serious, and then when there's like a funny action scene, like, there'll be different context, it'll be a different scenario, and so that, again, it's just like adding. That way you can have a movie that is both, has like jaw-dropping action sequences, but then like can give you like the giggles, you know what I mean? At other times, like I just recently rewatched Police Story, and dude, that movie has some genuinely slapstick funny bits in it, but then at other times it's like serious, like as serious as any action movie can be.
That's on the list as well, I think. This.
Oh, dude, the first Police Story is an absolute classic. Like, is an absolute classic. Whereas this, I think I enjoyed what they were trying to put together, but I actually think a lot of the stuff. But don't get me wrong, I still enjoy the campiness of it, because I don't think it's a bad movie. I just think that they tried to do something and they just missed the mark a little bit. Yeah. Considering that, I thought the first one was like, hey, It's pretty good, and like setting up a franchise, like maybe they didn't know
It's a
that they were
totally
doing that.
different movie. It's a totally different movie.
Like, why the fuck would you need to go
You know
want to
what
be
it is?
sci-fi? That's so random.
No, I just do believe that because of the influx of those kind of martial art movies, they needed to make it they want that aiming to make something that little bit different.
So
Keep in
just
mind,
for point of differentiation. Okay,
Yeah.
so there's all martial arts movies now. How is our martial arts movie going to be
it's going to be
different from everyone
different
else's
by
martial arts
making
movie?
them
Our martial art,
almost.
our ninjas are fucking clones.
But they didn't
Yeah.
put that in marketing or in the trailer even. That was
Yeah.
like, that was the twist. It was like a twist to the story. It was like, oh, didn't even know what the fuck was going on until like late in the third act.
Can I just say what they could have just done? I mean, just because he's a ninja doesn't mean he has to fight ninjas. They could have just had an army of evil super
Kangaroos.
soldiers. Well, yes, that is. I suppose that's an option. Like like anything is an option.
Yeah.
But like they
look
could
up,
have just had just super soldiers. They could have
Yeah.
just had tough, like relentless
Or super
soldiers.
shredders.
And then he's the ninja. Like the ninja doesn't have to fight other ninjas. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
but he can use his ninja skills to
Yeah,
fight
yeah,
the
yeah,
non-ninjas. You know?
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Because ninjas on ninjas, you're kind of like getting over it. They should have just broadened the aspect a lot more for sure.
Yeah, true that. Yeah, I mean that's that you can stretch him out and have him fighting like fucking cowboys or some shit. Like some crazy way.
Just imagine that.
I love a good Cowboys vs Aliens.
Like a
Or-
ninja
Oh,
cowboy,
dude,
though.
this shit. The aliens came from space and then the ninjas take over.
I don't think there's been a single Predator versus Alien that I haven't enjoyed. I don't care what anyone says.
they're actually pretty fun. But what you were describing versus American Ninja 1 and 2 reminded me of like the difference between Wonder Woman 1 and Wonder Woman 1984 in terms of like it's like
But I
complete
almost,
pivot. You know what I mean? Like
That's so funny because I felt exactly the same way. I thought Wonder Woman, I thought the 1984, I just thought was so far removed from what the first one was.
yeah,
It
And I
should be a
love-
standalone.
And I loved the first movie. Like I thought the first movie was like,
solid. Yeah.
damn, this is a damn good movie,
Really
you know?
solid.
To then turn it into 1984, like just the most random themes. And like, again, to create problems that like, this doesn't need to be a problem. You know what I mean? Like
And this
you're
is-
making it a problem, you know?
And this is the prime example of trying to make it relevant when it's not. Like, I mean, they're trying to make it that little bit different. Like, I mean, now the year, what was it? I think it was 2018 that 1984 came out. Wonder Woman 1984. Was it 2018?
Yeah, it was
19.
actually it was during the pandemic. It was during 2020.
19 or 20 then?
No,
It was the first one
before,
released
wasn't it?
online.
2020?
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was the first movie they released on the streaming services.
Oh,
But I mean,
Pretty sure.
like, I mean, a lot of people are going, like, I mean, look at Stranger Things and all that kind of stuff. They're thinking, okay, maybe we should just do
yeah, 2020.
an 1980s version.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
they're just
no,
trying to ride the wave.
The actual concept of 1984, I think is brilliant because you've got a character who is, I mean, now we're talking about Wonder Woman, right? But like, but you've got a character who is like ageless. So why not have her like at different
'Cause
times?
it breaks continuity because
I thought that's-
it contradicted the first movie and what happens in Justice League and in the rest of the DC.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it was just weird choice to go from the 1940s all the way to 1984. There's like a rich, there's like, because the first one was World War One or World War Two. Sorry, it was World War Two, wasn't it? Or was it
it
World War
was
One?
Nazis. I think it was
One, I think.
Well, it might have been one. Yeah, probably one.
Oh, was it World War One? Well, either way,
Anyway,
to go from World War One or Two all the way to 1984, like, man, I just think it's brilliant. You've got this character who's like immortal or long lived, like to give her a movie in all these different time periods. I thought that's a really clever idea. I think that's a clever concept. Like, who's done that other than like fucking Highlander? You know what I mean? Like Highlander, like, you know, did that. You know, yeah, but the series shows you flashbacks and stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, like in terms of going anywhere with a character, like if they're immortal and they've lived for at least a few hundred years, you can pretty much tell any story from any period.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
But like if they're making a feature film out of it rather than just like here is like the regular timeline and it's just showing flashbacks.
That wasn't problematic. It was the fact that it was random shit, like bringing Steve Trevor back in some other dude's body, and then
that was problematic.
That was rape.
That's what I'm saying.
Straight up rape.
That's what I'm saying. You got a great concept, and you don't have to ruin it, and you're just purposefully ruining it. Like you don't have to make these decisions. But anyway, this is way off track.
I've got to run, but I'm going to leave you with a clip from a movie called "I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker." If you've ever heard of it, it's another
I have not.
Another 80s gem, and it features Steve James in a role as Kung Fu Joe.
Just you 57 punks against Kung Fu Joe, master of karate, kung fu, jiu-jitsu, and all other shit you ain't never heard of.
No, man, that's awesome.
Anyway, that was great, guys.
Love you all. Peace
Good
out.
night, boys.
Whoa!